Was a week one.
All right. Answers by guess.
I got my cherry red on today. I was out in the sun a little bit yesterday. What's up, Sean? What's up, Hendrick? Daddy duty. We did a show a little later, Daddy duty. So I'm in a different spot. Got to watch the monitor and whatnot. I hope you like the surroundings. Rob, you look like you are.
I am. I'm at a disclosed location. All right, guys. Week one. Let's go. I'm ready. I'm feeling it. Great game on Thursday. What a way to start off the season. We're going to give you fantasy football's inside scoop from outside the box. Guess, tell us about the game, man. What did you think of it?
Yeah, we're going to try and be a little quicker with all the games today, quicker with the questions so that we can get our preparations in order and whatnot. But Thursday, Gronk. Told you I loved Gronk. I think if you're a Gronk owner, you should be looking to sell. You could probably sell him relatively high. A few people I spoke to before the game in PMs or in comments, I was starting to really get warm on Antonio Brown going into that game, and he showed out. I think that'll kind of continue a little bit, but I would shop him around. I told you I was worried about Zeke, number one run defense, but it was week one. He's your number one pick. Throw him out there. That's what I did, but I didn't expect much. I expected a little more than that. They didn't really use him. But, the Cowboys, Mike McCarthy had a good game plan and something that I kind of overlooked. It's like, well, we have a bunch of good receivers. Dak's back. Why not just throw the ball a ton? Because we can't run on these guys because they got Sue back. They got Vita Vea back. Smart game plan. And that's probably the one and only time in the history of the world and in the future that I'll say that about something Mike McCarthy did. Mike Evans, people are freaking out. Didn't like him too much going into the season. But listen, I can guarantee this right now. I'm going to call it a week in advance. He's going to blow up next week. They play the Falcons. People are going to want to sell off Mike Evans. If you got something that's expendable, go ahead and grab him because it's going to be the ebbs and flows. As Rob and I say, is the way that it goes. We're poets and we know it. He's going to bounce back next week. Mike Evans will be back next week going against the Atlantic Corners. Do not worry about that at all. And everything else was kind of according to plan until Gallup got hurt. Gallup looked much better than CD. CD benefited from Gallup being out of the game and finally catching the ball. I texted Rob during the game. I was like, this is one of the best. This game is great. And Rob was like, yeah, it's probably the best Thursday night opener that we've had. So very good. Much better than that one a couple of years ago. Yeah. Let's get into it. Oh, and Rojo. I mean, I liked Rojo going into the game. I like him better than Fournette. I still do, but listen, I pretty much laid it out there. As soon as he does something wrong, he's not coming back in the game. That's Bruce Arians. So, you got Rojo on your team. You could look to move him. Why not? I wouldn't be surprised if Tampa Bay looks to move him. I wouldn't be surprised if he wants Tampa Bay to move him because, it's kind of ridiculous. Like, for real. I texted in our Answered by Guest League group chat. I was like, Andy Reid would have put him back in the game and let him make up for it. But Bruce Arians, he's fickle. And not the case. So if that's going to be the scenario again this year, then there's no reason for him to be there and really not even on your team. And I'm a Rojo fanatic. So
if I'm Baltimore, I'm on the phone trying to get Rojo, to be honest with you. All right, guys, let's move into this. Remember, always like us, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and Patreon. And for the group, StreamYard consent form, guys. All right, first game on my list, Philadelphia Eagles at the Atlanta Falcons. They're saying this is going to be a bust game, not going to be the greatest. I actually see it being a little bit different in my opinion. You got Matt Ryan at home. He has a new weapon in Kyle Pitts. Talk about that, as well as the Philadelphia Eagles. Jalen Hurts looked good at the end of the year. They're saying a lot of bad things, and that defense isn't as stout as people think. I think they're going to step up. What are you thinking?
Yeah, like I said, we're going to try and be a little quicker with the game so we can get through them. I like Jalen Hurts in this matchup. I have a feeling that Zach Ertz is going to show up. Rob, you and I in the ABG league are a Goddard owner. I'm a little tiny bit nervous. I think Goddard will still do fine, but I think that they will. I think that they will use Ertz and be sure to get him involved after his comments that he made a couple weeks ago. I'm not a fan of this guy, but I think Jalen Reagor does well today. And it'll be interesting to see what the rookie does as well. Watkins is somebody that we talked about before he blew up in the preseason. Somebody who I'd bench today. He could have that boom for sure, but I think that's a situation to watch because I feel like they're going to go a little more possession with Hurts, with the tight ends, and with Reagor, and use all 74 of their running backs as well against this Atlanta defense, who I just said a few minutes ago, Mike Evans is going to blow up next week. As far as the Falcons go, for me, it's pretty much Pitts or bust. Ridley, but of course you're playing him. We don't talk about stuff like that. I'm not into the Gage or the Zacchaeus Olamide or whatever. It's going to be another week with those guys. Rob, I know you like Gage. And Mike Davis, I like him, but I wouldn't be surprised if Wayne Gallman, right? He's on Atlanta now, right? Wayne Gallman, I wouldn't be surprised if he steals some stuff from Mike Davis. You can play Mike Davis. He's not a terrible option. Philly's not great, super great against the run anyway. But I think watching this game is if a number 2 wide receiver other than Pittsburgh Ridley, so kind of number 3 pops, you put them on your watch list. You grab them maybe if somebody gets hurt or something, but you don't go crazy for them because I think that you're going to have to see them against the tough competition of Tampa Bay next week and moving forward because I think those guys are just going to be interchangeable. Still like Quez, but I think today is going to be a Reagor and the tight end show for the Eagles and the running backs.
All right, it's going to be interesting in the backfield for the Eagles, man. You're right. I kind of want to see what happens there. For some reason, I feel Boston Scott's going to play well, but that's just in my opinion. All right.
Let's keep an eye on. Let's keep an eye on the guy that I mentioned when talking about the running backs to Sash Gainwell. Let's see how they use him. If they use him as much or is Boston Scott, then he's an immediate grab, I think, because I think he's definitely more talented than Boston Scott. Answer this question real quick, and then I got to go do something because I see something on the baby monitor.
All right, Alan says start 2 PPR, Sutton, Henderson, Montgomery.
I'm playing Sutton. I like it against the Giants, and I'm just not sold on Henderson. Well documented. I talked about, they signed Sony, and I really like Jake Funk. I think all 3 are going to be used. I don't think he's going to be a bell cow, so I'm going to go Montgomery and Sutton. And we'll be back in a few minutes.
Yeah, I'll kind of continue with that. I think Montgomery and Sutton would be my opinion as well. Henderson is kind of a little worrisome. I know, guess I mentioned Jake Funk. I picked him up, and I picked up Goldman too. Just because I had spots, I was able to put Watson on IR. So yeah, man, it's kind of crazy. I'm trying to. I think Goldman's gonna have a pretty good game, to be honest with you. All right. Oh man, guess his camera even went out. All right. I guess he'll be back in a sec. Let me move on to the next game here. All right. Pittsburgh Steelers at Buffalo Bills. For me, Pittsburgh Steelers is going to be interesting. I think this is going to be a really tough defensive matchup. We will see some offense. We will try to figure out how that offense is going to go pretty much for both teams. A lot of wide receiver options. Oh, we have a surprise here. Oh, there he is. What's up, guys?
I kind of think that Buffalo, I'm having a little bit of a change of heart with this one. I'll let you finish your thought, and then we'll go on from there. I got the sun right here.
Yeah, I know. We got to figure out what's going on.
Sent from the heavens.
So, yeah, I mean, I just think the wide receiver options in this game are going to be tough, especially that they both have good defensive backs. Somebody to pay attention to for me is how they use Claypool. I really want to see, is he the third guy now that they re-signed Juju and Deontay getting all the targets? What do you think, S?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Harris does. You can't even see my head.
How about we switch spots then?
No, we want to see your head too.
No, I'm okay. Remember, I'm typing on the side anyways.
Well, how are you going to type on the side if we switch spots?
I'll move it up.
This guy's got all the ideas.
Switch it up. That's better.
Here I am. Yeah, let's watch and see Harris. Obviously, he's the only running back that you want to use. We're laggy. We can't be laggy. As far as the wide receivers go, I'm all over Deontay. No need to talk about that. I honestly feel like Pittsburgh's going to keep this game very competitive, if not win. And it goes completely against what everybody else is thinking, because we're looking at the fact that Buffalo smoked them the end of the season. Last year, was it the playoffs? I can't remember. And how Pittsburgh ended the year. Pittsburgh's defense is not as good as they were, but they did get Watt back.
They did, man.
And it's a tough place to play in Buffalo, but I do think with Big Ben, game one, we know Big Ben's not too good on the road, but he was good on the road, I believe, last year, at least in the beginning. I feel like Pittsburgh's going to keep this competitive and possibly even win this game.
Okay.
But the consensus is that he's not going to do anything of the sorts, and neither are they. People think that Buffalo's going to smoke them. They're a huge favorite. If we're talking about the players for Buffalo, we're not going to talk about Diggs. Gabe Davis, somebody sent me a message. They're a bit worried that he's like number 4 on the depth chart. I'm not worried. He's their number 2. You're not playing Emmanuel Sanders in this game. At this point, there's no reason to play Cole Beasley. If you have to play Gabe Davis because you drafted him as your wide receiver 3 or as a flex option, this is a fine game to do it, because I do think that although they are both good defenses, I think the wide receivers will do well in this one. Let's keep an eye on how they use Singletary and Moss.
That was my next question.
And go from there. I don't think you would want to play either one of them today. Let's see what happens. But you throw Najee Harris out there because he's going to be the workhorse. He's going to be. I'm not worried at all about Benny Snell. I'm not worried at all about anybody else that they have in their backfield.
Yeah, man. I drafted Najee high. I'm hoping they use him like Le'Veon. What's going on, Nick? All right. Next game. My New York Jets against the Carolina Panthers. Revenge game. He said it wasn't a revenge game. He says, no, why would it be a revenge game? I don't believe that at all. I think Darnold's going to be coming out swinging, slinging, the whole to-do, man. What do you guys think what do you think as far as how Carolina's offense is going to do? Oh, he's gone. How Carolina's offense is going to do versus how the Jets offense with Zach Wilson. You think he's going to be possibly up there as far as rookie of the year?
I couldn't take that. Although you have a nice white line on your face, I couldn't take it anymore. This game's going to be high scoring. There's no reason for you to play Zach Wilson today, but this game is going to be high scoring. So you should be putting Corey Davis in your lineups. There's no reason for you to play any of the Jets running backs, but we're keeping an eye. I feel like the theme of this week, and rightly so, it should be, the theme of this week has to be, let's keep an eye on this. Let's see what happens. Let's not overreact positively, and let's not overreact negatively, just like we talked about in the intro with the Thursday game, right? Let's keep an eye on this Jets backfield because we think Carter's going to take over, but we have no reason to freak out on him if he doesn't do well today. And if he does do really, really well today, we get a little excited because it's a little premature, but we don't freak out. Tevin Coleman does something good today. Don't think that he's sliced bread, right? Leave him alone if he's out there on the waiver wires because it's not going to last. So we're keeping an eye on things. Crowder, we'll see what he does. Elijah Moore.
Crowder, COVID out.
Oh, he's out. That's right. Elijah Moore. So we'll see how he does because Crowder's out. Sean was asking a question. He made a trade in the ABG league. Rob, you're really high on him. I want to wait and see. We'll see if Denzel Mims maybe steps up over him today. But it's going to be high scoring this game. I think both teams come out to play. The Jets want to do what they want to do against Darnold. They're way better than people think they are. And Darnold and Robbie Anderson against their old team, it's the narrative. The one player I think in this game that could be a super boom option that most people probably aren't going to play, but a lot of even our members are high on them or him is Terence Marshall. There's going to be one wide receiver left out for Carolina. And could be DJ Moore, could be Robbie Anderson, could be Terence Marshall. I think Marshall is going to be a super boomer bust in the beginning, so we'll see how that goes today. I'm not as high on DJ Moore, never have been as most people. Mm-hmm. But one of those three is going to get left out from week to week. I think Terence Marshall is somebody to keep your eye on today because I think he could easily pop into a solid number 2 role and revert Robbie Anderson maybe to the boomer bust type of guy.
I agree. Think about what Robbie Anderson and Darnold were on the Jets. It was big play. I mean, he did get better a lot as he went through the season and becoming that possession guy for him, but he had no other option besides him. So It's going to be interesting, man.
And your sneaky play for this one, you and I talked about this, Dan Arnold.
Oh, yeah.
Darnold to Arnold combo. I think Dan Arnold, if you're playing DFS, he's a super cheap option. I think you plug him in today. So that would be something that if we were separate and you had a piece of pen and paper, I'd say write that one down, Dan Arnold.
Dan Arnold. I got it. Don't worry. We have it recorded.
Okay.
All right. So Mike actually wanted me to ask you a question. He says, I have Elijah Moore, Claypool, or DeAndre Swift. DeAndre going against San Fran with that tough D. Claypool, we talked about in Buffalo, or Elijah Moore taking a chance on the young kid with Crowder out.
Didn't really mention him too much. I'm not as big of a Claypool guy as most people are. He's got a little bit of an injury going on. They say that they're going to run Swift out there like crazy. But he's going against a tough defense in San Francisco. And they have other running backs back there, Jamar, that I talked about the other day, and, of course, Jamal. Crowder's out today. I'll probably go Elijah Moore.
All right. You know what's funny? Is he switched it to Elijah Moore. I said the same thing.
Most people would say Claypool, but I'm going to say Elijah Moore.
They re-signed Juju for a reason. That's the way I'm looking at it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think all of them could eat if they could throw the ball, but you didn't draft Najee Harris to throw the ball as many times and try to preserve Ben Roethlisberger's perspective, you know? Right. All right, I got a question here.
Oh, Alan, real quick. We live in the same area.
Oh, sorry, I missed that.
And he's in town.
All right, J-Rob, Diggs, DJ Moore, Debo need one wide receiver, one flex.
Definitely playing J-Rob.
All right.
Without a doubt. And I feel like Diggs is going to come a little more back down to earth this year. But out of them, I'm going to go with Diggs because I think the Niners will be able to run all over Detroit. And I think DJ Moore, although it's a high-scoring game, he's more your possession guy. I think Dan Arnold and Terence Marshall are going to make a name for themselves today. And Robbie Anderson against his old team. So I'm going to go J-Rob Diggs.
Agreed.
Roll with the chalk.
All right. Next game here. Minnesota Vikings at Cincinnati Bengals. For this game, I don't know. Justin Jefferson's coming in hot, man. They said that he's going to be amazing. But Kirk Cousins is his quarterback. Is he going to be amazing? Anybody else we should be paying attention to? And Cincy, I've told you all year, I'm high on Burrow, man. Jamar Chase, what he came out with saying he can't see the ball the same way from college makes me a little worried. But is it possibly just hoopla? Do these guys already have a good connection and they're going to surprise this Vikings team?
Yeah, we want to go speed. So here we go. Jefferson, no need to talk about. You're putting him in the lineup. Thielen usually starts the season very, very well, very, very hot. This is a great defense to do so against. You're watching to see if D.D. Westbrook contributes for the Vikings today. If he does, put him on your watch list, or you maybe pick him up if you're super deep league. Running backs, no need to talk about those two. We know the deal with Cook and with Madison. You're putting them in against the Bengals. Cook, Madison, he's sitting on the bench. You're wasting a bench spot with him until further notice. The Bengals, I love Boyd today.
Okay.
He's, to me, their best receiver. He's a possession guy. I think he can catch 100-plus balls this year. Higgins would be their number 2, and I wouldn't put Chase anywhere near my lineup today.
Nowhere.
He's a watch and see. Mixon, you're probably a little iffy on whether or not you should play him. I love him this year, but they do have Geo Part 2, who I told you about, Chris Evans. He's someone you're watching today. So all these guys that throughout the offseason, we've given you this information, these guys' names. This is where we're watching them. We always know week 1, right? The waiver wire goes crazy. And usually we changed it this year, but we would play in leagues where you could just scoop them while the game's going on. We changed it. But, I mean, there's 5 guys minimum every single week 1. People are like, oh, I don't know this guy, but he's doing well. So Chris Evans, you watch him. You're in a PPR league. You're a little shallow at running back. So let's see what he does today. I think this is a perfect game against the Vikings defense. I like the Bengals in this one to keep it pretty close. Again, the consensus, most people think the Vikings are going to smoke them. Let's see how Burrow looks.
Yeah, I agree with Brendan, man. Too much drama in the locker room and stuff like that. I mean, it takes away from football. So it's like, is that going to cause them to not play the right way or so on and so forth? I think Cook eats, but again, from there, we got to figure it out. All right.
Oh, Amir Abdullah is active today. He's on the active roster, so we'll see if they use him as maybe a 3-down back or something. Third down back. San
Francisco at the Detroit Lions.
We didn't answer. Oh, yeah. Well,
did we answer?
Well, no. Brennan said something about the drama. I mean, I don't think any of that comes into play today at all. I don't. I think that's more probably less between the players and more with the coaching staff and the players.
All right. So this game, I don't know. Goff, they're saying looks good. I mean, who is he throwing to, though? And that's what we need to figure out. And with DeAndre Swift and things coming up in the news and all that stuff, they're saying they're not paying attention to it. But they're saying that he's almost a 3-down back. Anybody else we should be paying attention to? On the flip side, Jimmy G has a lot to prove, and it's either going to go Ayuk or Debo or maybe somebody else. What are you thinking?
Yeah, the Lions, we talked about Jermar. He's somebody to watch out for. They're saying that Swift can carry the load. There's no reason to limit him. We'll see. Jamal Williams is going to do Jamal Williams things. If you have to play any, Swift, slightly ahead of Jamal at this point, just because we've seen what Jamal Williams does to even Aaron Jones back in the day.
Yeah.
So if you got to play Swift, you play him, but just know you're going to lose something to Jamal more than likely, and vice versa. If you have to play Jamal, you drafted him to be your flex or your RB2 for whatever reason, maybe you went RB0, just know that Swift's going to get a ton of burn today, according to what they're saying. He is the best running back on the team. They're saying he's healthy. Just know that if you're playing Jamal, you're hoping for some vulturing. Wide receivers is St. Brown, right?
Yep.
And I'm not a Tyrell guy. If you're playing Tyrell Williams, I'm sorry, right? I got nothing for him. He'll get you one boom play, possibly. I'm not down for it. Let's see what Cephas does. Right, Quintez Cephas popped a little bit last year.
What about Stone for Hands?
Well, we know Hawk. We don't talk about Hawk. If you drafted Hawk, where you drafted Hawk, you put Hawk in the lineup. This is
what happens if you have 2 decent options, though?
Who's your other option? Talk to us.
Let's go with Gerald Everett.
I'll play Everett.
Exactly.
I play Everett over Hawk. But Hawk is their number one option. But he's stone frames. He moves like a slug. So that's why I go with Everett, new shiny toy. For the Niners, we're watching the backfield. This is a great game for Mostert. Great game. He's probably going to go off today. If I were to pick one of them to go off, it's Mostert, because at any second, any point in the field, he could bust a 90-yard run, an 80-yard run, a 60-yard run. Doesn't matter. We've seen it. Mostert would do that. His problem is staying healthy. So that's why we got to look at Sermon. They're already claiming Sermon is the 2 or the 1B. But the guy that a lot of people are forgetting about is Elijah Mitchell. Eli Mitchell, they're saying he's going to have a role. Watch him, write his name down. If Eli Mitchell plays 20 snaps, 15 snaps today, that's a very positive sign for him. He's a great pass catcher, very athletic, 6th-round pick who most didn't think would even make the team, but played himself not only onto the 53, but to somebody who they say is going to get some burn. So let's watch that today. The wide receivers, most people are higher on Ayuk, and you might be one of them, than Debo. I kind of like Debo a little more than Ayuk.
I think they both eat today, to be honest with you.
Sure.
But yeah, I think Ayuk is going to do something special today. That's my opinion. Mm-hmm. All right. Next one here. Jacksonville at the Houston Texans. All right. So you got Trevor Lawrence. We know you're not high on him, but he's going to be throwing the ball against this Houston defense that just traded their best player pretty much again. So does Trevor Lawrence show up? Is it Shenault? Is it somebody else we should be paying attention to? I know we're talking about, you don't have to talk about J-Rob, but anybody else we should be paying attention to in that backfield. As far as Houston, Tyrod Taylor, man, he has some options. I'm seeing Brandon Cook questions all the time, but you have somebody else that I know you're going to mention. Yeah. Bring him up. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. Real quick, Nick had a question there. Corey Davis or Shenault? I'd go Corey Davis without question. Do like Shenault in this game. I think this game is going to be very high scoring. I could easily see this game into the high 20s, if not close to the 30s. Tyrod Taylor stinks. I dislike him very much so. A year ago, I said he has no business starting throw the rookie in, Justin Herbert. They did not listen, but it did not matter, essentially. I still think that they're going to put up points. Jacksonville defense is not the Jacksonville defense of like 2-3 years ago. Houston defense, as you mentioned, they keep just getting rid of players. I think both teams are going to put up points. I think Shenault will do fine. I think Marvin Jones is their best option. I think Robinson, my boy J-Rob, is going to kill it today. He's somebody you have to put in your lineup. If you're doing DFS, you make him your play because he's way cheaper than a ton of people. He has one of the easiest matchups on the board. As far as Houston goes, Brandon Cooks, you got to put him in. He's their number one receiver until Collins says otherwise. Nico Collins is who you're watching today. If Nico Collins goes off, he's undrafted in most leagues, unless it's a very deep league. And even in some 14-team leagues, he's still sitting on the bench in leagues that I'm in. He will be somebody who's picked up right away. If Taylor can hit him, played for Michigan last year. If anybody knows college football at all, he's a stud. And he can become their number one. They also have Anthony Miller, who's going to be playing today. Akins is their tight end. They got a couple guys behind him that you mentioned throughout. So we'll watch the Texans tight ends. We'll watch Nico Collins. And the running backs for Houston is, we all know, the position that people have been wondering about and avoiding like the plague because it's Lindsey, right?
David Johnson.
It's David Johnson. It's Mark Ingram. And then there's also Rex Burkhead sitting back there.
Yeah.
David Johnson, they're saying, is going to be the third down back. I think that is probably the very best case that he could have. If David Johnson's their third down back, that's tons of fantasy value. What does David Johnson do best, right? He's always been a pass catcher. Mm-hmm. He can move the chains running the ball on third down, 3rd and 1. If David Johnson's third down back, I think that if this holds and he holds up health-wise, I think he could be a steal this year. He had a very good year last year. He outplayed what I thought he was. Last 2-3 weeks of the season were incredible. So he's somebody that people are sleeping on. So you're watching backfield, you're watching Nico Collins, you're watching the Houston tight ends.
All right, David with a question here. Henderson or Jacobs?
I don't like Henderson. I think that Michelle and him are going to split, and I think Funk is probably going to be way more involved than anybody sees going this week, especially. I think that Funk could take over the job. I mean, it's a Hail Mary, but I mentioned it last week on the show. He's somebody that you have to watch. The Rams are playing. You got that game. Remind me.
Chicago. Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, that's right. I don't like Jacobs. I've talked about over and over how I think Kenyon Drake is going to be a steal. I really like Kenyon Drake on Monday night before we even get to that game. I don't know how healthy Jacobs is. I'll probably shoot myself for this. I really think it's 50-50. You go with your gut. And I don't even like this guy, but I'm going to go Henderson and just hope he pops one. Just hope that he pops one because we've seen him do it. We've seen Henderson. When he gets in the game, he breaks loose. He's got some speed. So I'd go Henderson and just hope that he pops one off.
I missed this one before. Chrissy says Minnesota will win by 10. I don't know if it's 10 off. Yeah, definitely. No, I mean, if Kirk Cousins is on.
They could. I want to say, I don't know what the line is. I want to say it's like 6, but
I think it's 5.5, something like that.
I think it's a 3 or 4 point game.
All right. Do you think Nico not playing last year will hurt him?
Not so much because he's done well in the preseason. He's done well in training camp. He's up. He's getting up to speed. I'm not too worried about that.
All right. Next game here. Seattle Seahawks at the Indianapolis Colts. You're playing your main guys, obviously, for both these teams, but there's a couple guys that I'm paying attention to. We've mentioned Gerald Everett. That's somebody I kind of want to see what happens between him and Wilson. But Rashad Penny's hurt again. It seems like he's going to play possibly, but I know you're not huge on Chris Carson. Who are we paying attention to then in that backfield? On the other side, who's the backup? Is Mack going to get any love? Is it Hines? I mean, they just re-signed him. Pittman Jr., number 1?
He is, yeah. As far as the Seahawks backfield, you all know, you watched the show for 5 years running now. I am not a big fan of Chris Carson. They just continue to want somebody to take over for him. He continues to do what he does, though. If you must play him, good luck. It's a tough defense you're going against. I'd find another option. I think this game, unfortunately for me, because I'm a Russell Wilson owner, could be on the lower scoring end. No need to talk about DK. Lockett, always boomer bust his entire career if you must. Fingers crossed for you. Gerald Everett, I like because you can win with the linebackers in the short, intermediate, and up the seams against the Colts. But the running backs, it's DJ Dallas, it's Chris Carson, it's Rashad Penny. Let's watch the backfield. Let's see if either of those two can do anything. Yeah. I mean, we've seen them both do something in the past before, but as soon as Carson comes back from injury, he's the best one out of the 3. So let's watch him. If you got to play him, you got to play him. There's no reason for you to sit Jonathan Taylor in this one. You put him in the game. You're going to protect Wentz. Let's watch their tight ends. Jack Doyle's there. Mo Alley Cox is there. The rookie, Kylan Granson, is there. Let's see if one of them can emerge. My money for season long is on Granson, but they could bring him along slowly. Maybe use him to block and maybe use Jack Doyle to block as well. And Mo Alley Cox could pop today. I'm not overreacting if either one of them do well today. Pittman Jr. is the one. I think Zach Pascal is going to have a good game. And the rookie, I've heard his name pronounced 4 different ways. I'm going to call him Strachan because that's how it's spelled. Mike Strachan, Strahan, Strachan. Mike, Strachen, I believe. Keep your eye on him.
All right.
And let me bring this up real quick.
Go for it.
If you're in a league that has IR spots, we know he's cooked, right? We liked him. We kept waiting for him. He never really did anything. But I feel like these games where he's hurt and the rehab, when he comes off the IR, T.Y. Hilton might be a stash.
Ooh.
You pick up T.Y. Hilton
and
you stash him in your IR spot just in case for when he comes back, because he's going to come back and the bye weeks are going to be hitting. And some of your wide receivers, unfortunately, are going to go down. Some of them might be busting. T.Y. Hilton's a good veteran presence who could help you out a week or two when he comes back, if he comes back healthy.
I like that. Would you play Drake over Chase Edmonds or Damian Harris?
No, I'm playing Harris.
I agree. I would play Harris as well. All right. Should I still play Callaway over Cooks, Juju, and Gaskin in the flex? Him being covered by Alexander kind of scares me.
The only player out of those that I would play over Callaway would be Cooks. And it's very close between them, Michael. Go with your gut on that one. I'd probably still shoot for the home run with Callaway, just because Tyrod Taylor's the quarterback and Jameis Winston is a better arm. But Cooks is your other option. The other two, you can avoid them for this.
All right, Darko with the question. It's usually old man step up early in the season. What do you think about AJ Green week 1 in the second highest total game this week?
Oh, we haven't gotten a game yet. I think Hopkins murders today. I just think that he's going to go off. And eventually it's going to open up a few things for AJ Green. My problem with AJ Green is they have Rondale Moore, they have Christian Kirk, they have Andy Isabella. And it's just like, how much, and then they have the target monster in Hopkins. So it's like, do you want to put AJ Green in week 1 of the season? Like, is that the stand you're comfortable taking? Go for it. I would not. I mean, I wouldn't have drafted him, and I certainly wouldn't be playing him this week. I would have 3 better options, I'd imagine.
Yeah, because Connor and Chase Edmonds can both catch the ball as well, so they're going to get targets too. All right. Robbie Anderson, Debo, or Deontay, start one.
Benjamin can catch passes too, and he's going to get some burn today.
Yeah, I think James Conner's actually going to play okay today, and it's going to put false hope into a lot of people. I don't think Eno is going to get the love that he deserves, but over the season wide, I think it's going to eventually be Eno and Edmonds.
Makes sense.
All right, Robbie Anderson, Debo, and Deontay. Start one.
James Conner is always healthy for at least one game.
Yeah, half of one.
Anderson, Debo, or Deontay. I'm going Deontay, man. He's the target machine. Man. Yes, the monster. You got to do it. Even if Robbie Anderson catches 1 or 2 deep passes and one of them's a touchdown, he outscores Deontay. Deontay is the right play because he's going to be used in the red zone. He's going to be used all over the field. He's clearly Big Ben's favorite target. You got to go Deontay.
All right, you were talking about that game. It's actually next on our list. Arizona Cardinals at the Tennessee Titans. You mentioned the Cardinals already. We just talked about them. Talk about the Titans side. Henry doesn't have a backup pretty much. Somebody we should be paying attention to. And as far as the wide receivers, I mean, obviously, we're paying A.J. Brown. But who's that second guy or that second option that they're going to?
Yeah, the reason I love Hopkins and aside from age and a bit off with the A.J. Green, Darko, is because the Tennessee Titan cornerbacks are like 2 of the worst in the league, 2 or 3 of the worst. And A.J. Green, I don't think has the legs much longer. Maybe he'll prove me wrong today and prove you right. To get down the field. I think he's going to stay closer, and the cornerbacks can stay with him. And I think if there's shots taken by Kyler, you look to the guys that can get downfield in a hurry. The Isabella, the Rondale Moore, the Christian Kirk, right?
Yep.
You look for those guys. And DeAndre. So I feel like if it's A.J. Green, it's going to be a lot of the short possession, closer stuff. Maybe he gets a red zone touchdown. We'll see. We talked about the running backs. We'll talk about the Titans. If Darrington Evans was healthy, I'd be all over him today. I'd love him. Unfortunately, the rookie, and can't even think of the other backup that they have. Not feeling it. They'll ride Henry as much as they can. Say nobody needs me to talk about Henry. AJ Brown, you mentioned.
Julio. Is he a flex option?
Yeah, Julio's a fine play today.
Yeah.
I don't love him season long because he can't stay healthy, but he's healthy right now. Healthy enough.
Yeah.
He's a fine play today. Not playing Ferkser. Sorry, I'm not. I've got to have a better option out there. I would play Juwan Johnson over Ferkser at this point.
All right. Deontay Johnson or Myles Gaskin at flex PPR.
Yeah, Deontay.
Target monster, man.
Yeah.
All right. Los Angeles Chargers at the Washington football team. Herbert, Eckler's banged up. Is he playing? It seems like he is. Again, you're really high on somebody over there. Let's talk about that running back situation. And then Mike Williams, is he a flex option today? As far as Washington football team, Curtis Samuel on IR. Who's the second guy behind Scary Terry that we should be paying attention to now?
Yeah, well, the Chargers, I talked about it in their show a few days ago. I would be benching Herbert in this game. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he is all world. Maybe he is sliced bread. But this is not a great matchup going on the road against this Washington defense week 1. I do not care. Yeah, he's got great weapons, right? His top 2 wide receivers, if we call Mike Williams the number 2, they're going to struggle because he's going to struggle to have enough time today, I think, with their offensive line versus the defensive line and the rushers. But Keenan Allen, if you don't have anything better, you got to put him in. Mike Williams, if you're playing in a deep league, I'm using him in a deep league. He's my 4th wide receiver because I can play 4 wide receivers because it's a little deeper. So he's my 4th wide receiver. That's where I'm putting him in. He's a wide receiver 3-4 today. He's a boomer bust, and he's got to stay healthy. That's a theme.
Yeah.
The running backs, a lot of questions. You go through Facebook, you watch TV, you're in this room, this group, everybody's asking about Eckler. I am not as high on Eckler to begin with because of the injury, and now his injury history, and now he's injured his hamstring. And they have 3 running backs behind him who are able-bodied. One of them, which you alluded to, is Larry Roundtree. Gave you his name. He's somebody who I said I'd rather stash him than Le'Veon Bell because he is somebody who has the skill set to do all 3 downs if Eckler were to go down, because I believe he's more talented than Justin Jackson. And Joshua Kelly, just unless he does something today to prove last year was a fluke, we got to quit him. So let's watch those guys, and let's hope if you're an Eckler owner that he gets through the game healthy, right? Jared Cook, starting tight end. Let's see if he can help out Justin Herbert today against Washington. And Donald Parham, we mentioned him way back in the preseason show.
Wow.
Let's see if Donald Parham, if they get close, Donald Parham will score a touchdown. So he's like 6'90". If they get close, he will score a touchdown, a red zone touchdown today. He's a name that if you don't know him, you put him on your watch list now. You watch him throughout the game, and if you're hurting a little bit at tight end, you say, okay, yes, thank you. And as far as Washington goes, we all know Patterson now. We told you about him before anybody even knew who he was. Gibson's a go. Why not? I don't think you're playing J.D. McKissick at this point or Patterson. You're not playing him, but if you got him on your bench, you hold him, you watch. Let's check it out.
Yeah.
Obviously, got to put Scary Terry in there. No Samuel. I wasn't high on Samuel to begin with. I know you were.
Love that guy.
I know you were, and you brought up the Ron Rivera factor. But guess what? Ron Rivera didn't use him very well when he was in Carolina, and now he's abused him. He's misused and abused by Ron Rivera. Diami Brown. Diami Brown is the name that's going to pop today. And then my Achilles heel, Mr. It's Adam Humphries, right?
Humphries.
I can't stand it. Adam Humphries is going to do something today. If you're a Scary Terry owner, Adam Humphries is going to screw you. I'm sorry. It's going to happen. And Logan Thomas, I guess you drafted and you play him.
If you're in a 2 QB league, I wouldn't be scared to put Fitzmagic in there, to be honest with you.
No, two QB, not bad.
All right, what's up, man? Josue, should I bench Monty for Tyson Williams and flex AU? Currently starting Cook, Monty, Tyson, half-point PPR.
I'm fine with Cook, Monty, Tyson. Tyson.
Yeah, I think Tyson is the only one that's been there. He's going to get a lot of burn today, I feel like. Just because, Monday. He's the only one that's been with the team. Everybody just got signed, so they're going to have to learn. All right, what do you think ends up being the lead running back for the Ravens? So talking about that, I'm hoping that Tyson, since I missed on picking up Murray.
I think so. I think there's no reason. Here's what I think, right? Tyson is Dobbins. Okay. Murray will be Gus.
Okay.
All right.
Good way to put it.
So as high as Dobbins was going, the reason he was going is because he was the lead, because he can catch, because he can pass, because he can run, because he's got speed. He's J.K. Dobbins, Tyson Williams. They're the same. Latavius Murray is going to be Latavius Murray like he was to Kamara, which is what Gus Edwards was going to be to Dobbins. So Tyson is Dobbins. Murray is Gus. Le'Veon Bell is on the outside looking in, along with Devonta Freeman, along with Trenton Cannon, along with your uncle.
He made the team? All right. I can't. Indy defense, would you rather San Francisco or Denver? Both free agents.
Yes. Either one. If San Francisco is a free agent, I'd pick them up right now because they're season long. Denver could very well also be the top defense when it's all said and done this year.
Yeah.
They're getting everybody back.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Von Miller, I think that's just such a huge difference.
Yeah. Yes. Either one of them, yes. Did he ask me, would you rather have? Oh, Indy.
Defense was.
Well, today I'd rather have either one of them because their matchup is easier than Indy's.
Yeah. I mean, San Francisco would be my opinion just because it's the Detroit Lions. And you don't know what's going on. They have hardly any receivers.
Right.
The backfield is messed up.
Agreed.
Was watching Tyson preseason snaps. He got speed, hands, power, and nice shoes. Yeah, man. That's why I think.
J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Next one here. Very interesting game. I'm not going to even mention too much just because I know it's going to be such a juicy one, and I can't wait for it.
Yeah.
Who are we paying? I think you're starting everyone. Who are you not starting, I guess, is the question.
I would not be starting Austin Hooper.
Okay.
I would not be. I'm still convinced he's more of the pass blocker, and Harrison Bryant and Njoku are more of the receivers. Mm-hmm. So if you drafted Austin Hooper, I'd look for another option if you're thinking about starting him. And Odell, you're starting really out of necessity because you really got to see how he hasn't been tackled yet. He hasn't been hit yet since last year when he got hit and got hurt. So that's kind of scary. Love Jarvis Landry in this one. We'll see if Donovan Peoples-Jones is going to pop off. We'll see if Higgins is going to play, how he's going to do. They got the rookie, Anthony Schwartz, I believe is his name. Keep an eye on him. The running backs, Chubb and Hunt, you got to play both of them. The Chiefs, Hill, Kelsey,
Mahomes.
Hardman is their number 2. But I would not be surprised if Demarcus Robinson or Doris Fountain, if he's playing today, steal that number 2 from Hardman. I'm still not sold on Hardman. I feel like Hardman is Tyreek Hill, and unless Tyreek Hill gets hurt, Hardman's never really going to flourish. They need somebody else that's more of a deeper than Kelsey, but not as deep as Hill. And I feel like that's D-Rob more. I think D-Rob's going to take that Sammy Watkins type of role better than Hardman will or could. So keep an eye on that. If you're a Hardman owner today, I probably find a better option until he shows you that he can really be their number 2. But really, and CEH, this is going to be a tough go for him. You want a hot take? What's it called? A reach? I don't like this guy. You're not putting him in the game. Would not be surprised if Darrell Williams scores 2 touchdowns today. Would not be surprised. Would not be surprised. You're a CEH owner. Darrell Williams, they use him at the 1-yard line, punches in 2. Would not be surprised. I just feel it. Feel it in my bones. We'll see what Jerick McKinnon does for them, too.
Yeah, McKinnon's definitely a different. If he can be healthy, he was really good, man, at one point. Mm-hmm. Browns win today. You know what?
I like them, too.
I think they're really going to come out strong because of what happened last year. Mm-hmm. All right. Miami Dolphins at the New England Patriots. Great division game to start off with, man. I really think this holds a lot of value for both teams coming into week 1. Tua has the keys. Who's he throwing it to? And who's in the backfield? I know you're not high on Myles Gaskin. Do we think Ahmed actually comes through today? As far as New England, Mac Jones is your starter. Is it a wait-and-see option? What happens if you're in a 2 QB league? Do you start Mac Jones today over somebody else? Well, I guess in that kind of category. Let's go from there.
Patriots are another defense that are pretty much almost back, besides a couple little injuries, big injuries. But they had a bunch of players that sat out last year as well. They took the COVID exit and took the year off, and they're back. So the Patriots defense is going to be much better. Their offense is, with Mac Jones, going to be much better. The Dolphins are that up-and-coming defense. Now they got much more offensive weapons as well. So this game, division game right off the jump, is going to be really good. Let's see how Tua performs with his old buddy Waddle.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Is Parker playing? Is he back healthy? Let's see how he is. Gesicki is going to be a little more involved because their number 2 tight end, Shaheen, right? Adam Shaheen. Mm-hmm. I think he's out, right? Was he the one that's out with COVID? One of their tight ends is out with COVID. But it's better for Gesicki. So if you drafted Gesicki, fine. Now, the big story here is Gaskin. A lot of question about Gaskin. I'm not as big on Gaskin. Yeah, I'm not as Shaheen out with COVID, so it's better for Gesicki. I'm not as big on Gaskin as the majority of the world. I think Ahmed is a better running back. Yes, Gaskin did okay last year in his games. He did well out of nowhere. Waiver wire darling after week 1 or 2 or whenever it was. I like Ahmed as a better running back, but Gaskin is the starter. But both of these guys are going to be plagued by that man, Mr. Brown. Brown is going to vulture the touchdowns if they get close. So this is one of the main reasons that I'm completely against playing Gaskin today in all the questions that come up, whether it's in this group, whether it's on this feed, or whether it's in another fantasy group that I'm just scrolling through and I see a comment and somebody asks about Gaskin. Almost always, if the other guy is fine, I'm saying the other guy. Because Gaskin's going to lose some touches, not only to Ahmed, but Malcolm Brown is going to vulture the touchdowns if they get close. If it's not Gesicki with a sort of a jump thing, and it's not Tua sort of sneaking it in, then it's going to be Malcolm Brown. And it's going to drive you nuts today. Gaskin blows up, I'm sorry. But against the Patriots defense, that's just another reason for me to go another route. Harris, I think, is going to do very, very well today. They're going to use him. Today, yeah, he's another DFS play for sure. Harris and J-Rob, 2 of your best plays for DFS today. Either. Neither one too expensive, and you load up elsewhere with the Hopkins and some other guys. Kyler. The Patriots, Aguilar hasn't played at all, but let's see how he does. We know Jacoby Myers is the number 1, they say, but Aguilar's coming off a career year. I think that Henry is a good play today. You all know that I'm not high on the Gronk, Aaron Hernandez scenario that many people have come up with. I don't think it's like that, but I think Henry's better off with Jones. I think Henry could have a day today if they get close as a red zone threat. And watch for Jonnu Smith's going to do a few like jet sweeps and stuff today as well.
If they get close, I think that's going to be one of the play options like they've done. I think Belichick will take that from what he used to do on his other team. All right, next game here: Green Bay Packers at New Orleans Saints. Quadzilla, is he worth a flex spot in this game against the Saints defense? Who's okay? They're not the greatest. Anybody else we should be paying to as far as outside of Devontae? Is Cobb worth a flex spot with all the talk and stuff like that? As far as New Orleans, Winston's going to chuck it up, I think, in my opinion. I really think everybody's going to eat. You're high on Callaway. Anybody else we should be looking for as far as from New Orleans? And Jones Jr., the backup to Kamara. Could he see some even wide receiver time?
Yeah. I'm not sure if Dylan's worth a flex. I think to answer that question, you have to say to yourself, week 1 last year, would you have flexed Jamal Williams? Now, granted, he's like a completely different beast, but it's the same exact position. The same exact output more than likely, unless they get close. But even then, Jamal Williams was kind of the goal line guy they use as well. They used him more on third down. So it's kind of the same. Would you have flexed Jamal Williams week 1 last year?
Okay.
Probably not. You probably have a better option. Saints defense is declining, I feel. So, I mean, I get the sentiment. I get why you would even consider it.
Mm-hmm.
I love him moving forward, though. Aaron Jones is not made of glass, but gets hurt quite often. As far as the wide receivers for them go, I think MVS is going to show up this season. Everybody, I have never been really too high on Valdez-Scantling, but the reports are that he's improved his route running. He's not just a shoot down the field and take a bomb wide receiver anymore. He's somebody who is running the short and intermediate routes and more of a possession guy. We'll see how Randall Cobb does coming back. Adams, you're firing up. I'm telling you all right now, Bobby T is going to be a disappointment. Robert Tonyan is going to be a disappointment. Watch for Josiah DeGuara, 3rd-round draft pick last year, hurt in the first game, was one of Rodgers' favorite options for like the first 10 minutes of that game before he got hurt. Was doing very well, a couple targets, a couple catches. He's going to wind up being the starter. Nobody even knows his name right now, and it's going to make the Bobby T owners quite upset. Got a feeling. This could blow up in my face, but I don't think he does much today. For the Saints, Callaway, Kamara, that's pretty much it. Juwan Johnson, I feel like with Traquan being out, Juwan Johnson gets a bump.
Okay.
But before we throw him in our lineups, let's see it.
Of course.
I think this is a good game to see it in. Juwan Johnson could come through today. If he's the only tight end you have, play him, and let's root for the best. I think Traquan being out certainly helps him. And Jameis likes his tight ends, especially tight ends that are actually wide receivers in the tight end body. So that's pretty much it. And you talked about Tony Jones.
It's a wait and see. You're not playing him.
You're probably not playing him, but
I think he actually has a chance of if Kamara has a good day, they're not going to play Kamara the whole game, right. Especially if they're up. But it's against Green Bay. I mean, Green Bay could always come back. So it's going to be an interesting game to see how everybody's utilized. Would you start MVS over Chase today? Ooh, good question.
Or Jamar Chase?
I'm going Chase Claypool.
Or Chase Claypool. I think that you've got an easier defense in the Saints than you do the Bills. I don't know. Oh, Jamar. Yes.
It is Jamar Chase?
I'd play MVS over Jamar Chase.
Okay.
I would, because I feel like Rodgers really. We know when Rodgers likes somebody, right? Alan Lazard. I feel bad for him because Cobb and the emergence of MVS is going to hurt Lazard. He loves Lazard. And when Lazard's there and Lazard's running the routes, he throws him the ball. If MVS comes out of this game, gets a target, catches it, gets another target, catches it, A-Rod's throwing to him all game long. If he comes out and the first pass to him was a terrible drop and he tries again and it doesn't look good, A-Rod's going to ignore him. Burrow's never going to ignore Chase because that's his buddy from college. But there are a bunch of other options there. I would, Sean, most people probably wouldn't. But that's answers by guess. I'd play MVS. I'd shoot for the moon.
MVS on ABG.
Hey, baby.
All right. Denver Broncos at New York Giants. You just mentioned you think this defense could end up being possibly top of the top line here.
I can hear you.
Do you do you think that their offense is going to show up? Teddy Bridgewater, their starter, really trying to figure out what this offense is going to look like. People drafted Melvin Gordon. Obviously, they have the rookie Williams. It's just how do you – is it a wait and see? Do you start either one of those guys today? How do you not start one of the possible starting running backs, 1A, 1B? On the flip side, Barkley's – they're saying he's healthy. He may be on a snap count to a certain degree, but I don't know how you do snap counts like that in football. Who's catching the ball for them today?
I got to tell you, I made a terrible executive decision on our shared team. We should have just kept Javonte in. He was playing against the Giants.
Yeah. Well, you could. You don't know that this guy's. I mean, we called it. If he fumbled the ball, he wouldn't go back in the game.
Right.
We were just hoping that he wouldn't fumble.
Right. So yeah, Javonte's a fine play. I'd rather have him as a flex than an RB2 today.
Okay.
I think if that was a flex position, we had two solid running backs, maybe it would have been different. Yeah, Javonte's a fine flex play. I like Cortland Sutton. He's been trending upward. I think Jerry Jeudy is going to stud out this year. Really, I really do. He was very slow coming last year. We previewed it in last year's preseason in week 1. We said the rookies are going to be slow going off the jump, and they were, every single one of them for the most part. I think Jeudy is going to be a steal for a lot of people in drafts. We'll see how Noah Fant looks. And I say I like KJ Hamler a lot this year, but the issue is Tim Patrick's there and it's Teddy Bridgewater, and Bridgewater doesn't really chuck the ball too well. Yeah, I know Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel last year, but as the year went on, you saw his arm strength sort of go down a little bit. So we'll see how this one goes playing in New York this week. But other than Jeudy, Fant, Sutton, I'd kind of stay away from the Broncos today.
Okay.
And that's not telling you really anything.
Do you play their defense?
I'd play their defense, yeah. But like Gordon and Williams, like I'm not touching them. I'm not touching any of these ancillary guys. It's week 1. There's no reason. People probably don't even roster them at this point. For the Giants, I would find somebody else to play other than Saquon, right? I mean, why play Saquon in this game? We don't know how he's going to hold up. Sure, maybe it's your first-round pick at the end of the first round or your second-round pick. Hopefully you have a better option. I'd like to bench him. I'd like to watch him. I'd like to see him coming back from that injury because they were so late to clear him for everything.
Yesterday.
And it's just, yeah. So same with Kenny Galladay. Like, I'd lay off of Kenny Galladay today. I think Sterling Shepard is probably going to have a ridiculous amount of targets today with Ingram being out as well. Or is Ingram going to play?
I think Ingram's out, yeah.
Okay. So.
Tony is somebody I'm going to be watching. I have him on a dynasty team. I really think that he could be somebody of interest, especially if Slayton's not going to be catching the ball, if they're not looking his way. Tony can do what Slayton can do, but he could also do what Sterling Shepard does too. So they drafted him high for a reason.
Yeah, it's going to be a struggle for the Giants. Let's see if Daniel Jones can come through.
Ooh, good question. Elijah Moore or Gabe Davis?
That is a good question.
I'm going Moore, but go ahead.
I think it's just an easier matchup, and with no Crowder, I think you go Moore, and you just hope for the rookie special. week 1.
He liked them. I mean, they've been had him a really good camp, supposedly, and everything. He's even so in the preseason. Mm-hmm. All right, Sunday night game: Chicago Bears at the Los Angeles Rams. I mentioned picking up Damon Williams. Monty's going to touch the ball a lot. Allen Robinson. Who's the second guy over there that we could possibly be putting into maybe a flex option? Like a Mooney, I'm possibly flexing. On the flip side, you got all systems go. You got Stafford now. So this is the time for them to shine. And I really think this game's going to be closer than what we think, unless Dalton really just is horrible. Well, what do you think?
Well, Dalton probably will be horrible. Going against the Rams defense. I'm not a Dalton hater. But the one thing the reason I think that they're starting Dalton, the dogs are going to go nuts. It sounds like my wife and my son are home. Hopefully you can still hear us amidst this barking. Yep, they're home. So I feel like the reason that they're going with Dalton as the starter, can you still hear me? Is because they're going against this Rams defense. And I feel like they want a veteran to attack this or get attacked by this rather than put Justin Fields out there against this ferocious Rams defense. Oh, yeah. So I think that no matter how bad it gets, I'm not sure if they bench Dalton in this one. They're going to keep Fields out of harm's way just a little. That's what I feel. But I wouldn't be surprised if the second half Justin Fields comes out. I like Monty. If they can get the offense going, some short, quick passes, chunk by chunk by chunk, I like Monty. And Allen Robinson's going to have a tough time with Ramsey. So Mooney's probably going to be the guy to benefit. And Jimmy Graham and Kmet, not sure if you're playing either one, maybe Kmet. But it's going to have to be short, dink and dunk. I mean, you got to get the ball out quick. Not sure. I think the Rams could destroy them in this one. Luckily, Monty can catch passes. As far as the Rams, we talked about the running back situation, and we love Kupp and we love Woods. And I think if there's a player to bench that most people are starting, it would be Higbee.
Okay.
Let's see how Tutu Atwell looks.
Yeah, Stafford really was. I mean, I guess he was a tight end guy over his career.
Yeah, but
he never had
really.
a good
They never
tight
had
end.
a tight end.
Yeah, so all right.
He threw the stone for hands.
I picked up Jake Funk.
I saw that.
Yeah,
I woke up to that.
I moved Watson to IR because he's out. Mm-hmm. So I was like, you know what? I got an extra spot. Why not pick him up before everybody knows about him?
Watch him.
All right. Last game here, guys. Baltimore Ravens at the Las Vegas Raiders. I always mention that the Raiders play really good. I think we've talked about it before on the shows. Is this system that they have? You're high on Drake. Could we see more Drake than Jacobs tomorrow? I mean, people are obviously going to be starting Jacobs. Talk about that. And then Baltimore Ravens they're depleted. Their defense is going down as well. Do Baltimore Ravens lose this game?
You know, Baltimore, I think, is a much better team, but I feel like the Raiders Monday night, opening night at home are awesome, always. And I think the Raiders do win this game. I told you, the Tyson is JK, Murray is Gus. Murray will play in this game, and I don't think that any of the other guys do. Why? Because he was active all preseason. Because he's in game shape. He doesn't know the playbook, but neither do they. Right? He will play in this game. You're not playing him, though. But he will. He'll play. I think it'll be Tyson. Murray will be heading the backfield in this one. As far as like anybody other than Lamar goes, like I'm not trusting Hollywood even against this terrible Raiders defense. He's the one to trust. Andrews, okay, sure. But it's like I feel like everybody is hurt. It's not just the running backs. It's the Bateman and everybody else.
The crazy part about it, I'm taking Sammy Watkins in a random DFS. Just throwing a dart.
Yeah.
He's usually good week one. He'll end up with 2 touchdowns, 150 yards, and then he won't catch the ball again the rest of the season.
That's actually an excellent call. Sure, why not? And as far as the Raiders, I think that you'll probably see a little bit of Renfro. We're watching Brian Edwards, right?
Yeah,
we're watching to see does he look like T.O. and Randy Moss, because we wanted to see him last year. We never got to see him. A lot of hype going to the season last year. Hurt, missed all. A lot of hype going to this. Hasn't really played in the preseason at all. So let's see. Let's see Brian Edwards. And
are you high on Ruggs at all, or?
I'm not. Most people are. I think he's your Johnny Lee Higgins, your John Ross. I think he's just that guy that is just going to fly downfield, not even Deshaun Jackson level, but same type of player. And you're just going to chuck it up and hope he gets it. Will it happen? Probably, at least a few times this year. But I think it's going to be Edwards and Waller and Renfro over the middle pretty much all the time for Mr. Carr. And they're going to use the running backs. They're going to check down quite a bit to Drake. I like Drake better than Jacobs this week.
Would you flex Drake over a tough one? Who would you play? How about that? A better question. Who would you play Drake over?
Well, somebody
in the spot.
Somebody asked me a question, and I can't remember what it was, but like, let's just look at Elijah Moore and Gabe Davis. I'd play Drake over them. Jamal Williams, I'd play Drake over them.
Okay.
Running backs have a tough game. I think I would probably stick with Monty over Drake.
I got a good one. Javonte Williams or Drake.
I would play Drake.
Okay.
I would play Drake because I've seen him do very well catching the ball for 2 years in a row. And I think they're going to need him more. I don't think that the Broncos are going to need Javonte against the Giants that much. I think that the Raiders will win, but it's not going to be easy. They're going to need Drake to do things. It's going to be more needed.
Okay. All right, let's go. Next question here. Randy, Brandon Cooks or Tyler Boyd?
That's a tough one.
That's a tough one.
That's a tough one, and I'm going to go with Cooks slightly just because he's one of good options, right? Nico's a dart throw. It's a rookie. I think he's going to blow up, but we don't know, right?
Wait and see.
And everybody else on the team is like, Anthony Miller, like, really? Jordan Akins? But then you got the Bengals in their big three. And I really like Tyler Boyd. It's a tougher matchup, I think, as well for Tyler Boyd going against the Vikings than it is for Cooks going against the Jags. So I'm going to go Cooks.
Yeah, I want to see that Mixon. They're going to give the ball to Mixon a lot, I feel like, at least in the first half, which could take away from Boyd. Got a bunch of options. I don't know. I'm kind of liking Boyd today.
All right, so Rob says Boyd.
Yeah.
So there we go. There's our first battle.
There you go.
And we'll see who wins.
All right. Guess.
Yeah.
That's the last game.
Yeah, we went speedy. We wanted to go speedy. We got to go speedy. We got a lot of things to do. You're over, right?
Oh, yeah.
Out. And if you got questions, you can ask us. We'll be busy getting our drink on.
Yeah.
But we'll be here. Best of luck. And remember, don't overreact positively and don't overreact negatively after today. Trust me, I'm a Zeke owner. I'm a Ronald Jones owner. And I feel good going into today because the rest of my team looks good. And if my team fails today, I'm still going to feel good because I know I have a good team going forward. You drafted them. Trust your gut and let's win some championships.
All right, guys. Answers by guess.
Bye, everybody.
Peace.
See you Tuesday.